Hello there. I'm Liam, and I have a story for you about a night that changed everything for me. It all unfolded in a dazzling ballroom in Boston, a place where fortunes and egos glittered under crystal chandeliers. The ballroom shined under chandeliers worth more than some people's residences. Laughter filled the air, the aroma of fine wine, mixed with fresh roses, and the music swelled with grace. My sister Aria celebrated her 28th birthday at the heart of it all, wrapped in expensive silks and gems. Servers in crisp black suits refilled crystal glasses for everyone. I stood in the back holding a glass of wine that I had not yet touched. I wasn't there to cause a stir. I was there because despite our history, I was still her brother. But when my mother's cold stare fell upon me, her lips curling as if she'd just noticed a stain on her fancy shoes, I felt the first warning signal. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice as sharp as a blade. Before I could reply, my father appeared, already scowling. "Aria said she didn't invite you. Why can't you respect boundaries? You're worthless," my mother snapped, her voice rising above the music. Heads turned to watch us. "You've only ever been a disappointment. Security, get him out of here." The crowd moved as two suited guards approached me. I looked at my sister, hoping for some silent compassion, but she simply raised her champagne glass and smirked. They took me by the arms, their grip firm but not harsh, and led me toward the doors as whispers rippled through the guests. The grand entrance closed behind me with a loud thud that echoed down the marble steps. Outside, the cold bit through my suit, but the sting in my chest burned far deeper. I remained silent. I didn't yell or argue. I just walked away into the night. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that before the party I had already set certain things in motion. That night I froze every account with my signature, canceled their private jet reservations, and signed the final papers to sell my $19 million stake in the family business to a rival they hated. Minutes later, my phone lit up. 6 calls in less than an hour. To understand why that night became my turning point, you need to know the long, tangled story that came before it. My name is Liam Davis, the oldest of 2 sons in a family obsessed with public perception. My parents, Arthur and Vivian Davis, ran Davis Global Imports, a company my grandfather built from scratch in the 70s. It imported luxury items, fine wines from Italy, designer silks from France, rare jewels from South America, and my parents built their brand not just on products but on exclusivity. Aria, my younger sister by 2 years, had been the crown jewel from the start. Blonde hair, a perfect smile, and charming even when she lied. And she lied a lot. I wasn't the golden boy. I was the practical one. I worked behind the scenes, took business classes in college, and when my grandfather passed away, he left me a 19% stake in the company, a quiet acknowledgement of the nights I'd spent in the office balancing accounts, while everyone else went to charity galas. But my parents never celebrated my accomplishments. If Aria showed up to a board meeting and offered a half-baked idea, they treated her like a genius. If I closed $1 million deal, they'd say, "Well, that's your job, isn't it?" It wasn't just favoritism, it was disregard. The real break came 2 years ago. I had suggested a new digital platform for international clients. Aria told my parents it was too difficult, and they listened. 6 months later, she pitched the same idea. Barely changed, and they praised her cleverness. I stopped attending family dinners after that. Communication became rare and just about business, but I kept my stake. Slowly over time, I built my own investments outside the family business: stocks, real estate, a tech startup. I didn't need Davis Global to survive. Still, I kept attending the major functions, if only to remind myself and them that I was a part of it. That's why I went to Aria's extravagant birthday party. I knew I didn't belong in the room the way they wanted. My suit was elegant but understated. Dark charcoal silk, no flashy tie, no gleaming jewelry except for a small gold watch for my grandfather. My hair was simple, my shoes modest. Aria's guests were the city's elite socialites, bankers, a few minor celebrities. Every eye seemed to appraise, to measure, to judge. When my parents saw me, their expressions shifted from surprise to annoyance to open hostility. They didn't just quietly ask me to leave, they made a spectacle of it. "Worthless," my mother had said, the word hanging in the air like a poison. And then the ultimate embarrassment: security escorting me out like a trespasser. The guests whispered behind their hands. Some looked away. A few smirked. Aria stood at the center of the room, like a queen watching a peasant be dragged away. I walked out without a word, but in my silence I was already planning their downfall. Here's what my parents didn't know. I was still a signatory on several important accounts, not because they wanted me to be, but because removing me would have required legal maneuvering they hadn't bothered with, and my stake in the company it was mine to sell. As I walked away from the party heels, clicking against the marble steps, I pulled out my phone. I called my lawyer and oldest friend Damon Brooks. "It's time," I said. Within hours, every joint account I had access to was frozen. Millions in funds gone, at least temporarily. Their private jet reservations for an upcoming European tour were canceled. I personally called the concierge and said, "Change of plans." Most importantly, I finalized the deal. I'd been negotiating quietly for months, selling my $19 million stake in Davis Global to a rival company my parents hated, Armitage Luxuries. It wasn't just about money. Armitage had been trying to undermine Davis Global for years. My stake gave them a board seat, and I had made sure the new director had no intention of playing nice. At exactly 11:32 p.m., as I sat in my apartment drinking tea in my pajamas, my phone began to vibrate. First a call from my mother. I let it ring, then my father, then Aria, then the CFO of Davis Global, then unknown numbers, maybe reporters. By midnight, I had 96 missed calls and 47 unread messages. One from my mother. "Liam, what have you done? You've ruined us. Call me now." One from Aria. "Was this about the party? You're being ridiculous." One from my father. "This is business. Undo it before you regret it." I smiled. The next morning, the news broke. Davis Global loses major stake to rival. Family rift at the core. Stock prices wavered. Clients called in panic. The trip to Europe off. Credit cards declined. For once, they couldn't ignore me. 3 days later, my parents showed up at my penthouse uninvited. My father's face was red, his jaw tight. "You've made your point. Now fix this." "My point?" I asked. "I was thrown out of my own sister's party like I was garbage. You called me worthless. You've treated me like an outsider for years. Now you know what it feels like to be powerless." Aria rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting." I leaned forward. "Aria, you're about to find out that business deals aren't birthday cakes. You don't just blow out the candles and get what you want." My mother's voice cracked for the first time. "Liam, we're family." I stared at her. "Family doesn't humiliate family in public. Family doesn't erase years of hard work. You taught me I was nothing, so I decided to become untouchable." They left without another word. Davis Global never regained its old dominance. Armitage Luxuries expanded aggressively, taking clients one by one. My former stake gave them leverage they had not dreamed of. I built my own empire from the ground up, investing in sustainable luxury goods, a sector my parents had dismissed as a fleeting trend. Within 2 years, my company was featured in Forbes, and I was worth far more than the $19 million I had started with. As for my family, they kept calling for months, then occasionally over the years. Apologies came eventually, but they sounded like negotiations, not sincerity. The last time I saw Aria, she was trying to charm a potential investor at a gala. He left her to talk to me instead. I don't live for revenge, but I don't forgive easily either. That night at the party taught me that silence can be louder than any outburst. And the best revenge isn't shouting in anger. It's taking everything they thought you'd never have the courage to claim. The end. If there was any mistake in my video, or whether you liked it or not, do let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.